younger, right, I basically survived off the mercy of like the older kids, right? Basically, my survival tactic for school, the way that I managed to have like some sort of friends, not friends that actually wanted me around for anything, but friends to like have at school to like talk to, is I'd usually be in some of like the upper classes, right? Not because like I'm intelligent, but because I was in a higher level of band. When you're in a higher level of band than what you're supposed to be in for your grade, you like end up with some of like the older kids' classes due to the way that scheduling works. So I'd usually find like some older kids or whatever in like band, usually like fellow clarinet players or whatever, and they're also losers. So if you're just nice to them and you're stuck beside them and you're like always lending them your band book and stuff, usually they'll be nice back to you and they can be like your friends. And so that's how I made friends oftentimes. And that was like the only way. Basically, I was befriending the people that couldn't get along with kids their own age. They had to make friends with the younger kids because nobody in their own grade wanted to deal with them. I was so cringe. One year when My Little Pony was popular, I had a My Little Pony backpack. I was in like middle school and I had a My Little Pony backpack. One year, I had a backpack that had Italy from Italia on it, saying make pasta, not war. I never brushed my hair. I like never brushed my hair. And when I did brush my hair, I'd only brush like the outside. So I had like these really bad like mats and rat nest kind of knots in my hair. And I smelled awful because I never showered. So like, of course, kids didn't want to hang out with me, right? I was a stinky kid. And like, dreadlocks? Not quite dreadlocks. But I was kind of a gross kid. I was a gross kid. I was pretty mean. I kind of just assumed that everybody hated me, and that's still something that I tend to assume even as an adult, right? But when I was younger, I handled it so much worse, right? I'd be like, I'd be so like mean to everybody before they could be mean to me, which I guess I still do that. But like, I was way back. I was worse at it. I was worse with it. And you were a smelly hippie. Oh no, I wasn't a hippie. No. If anything, my views were... Depending on the area that I lived in, right? Some of the areas that I lived in, my views were very like... Oh my god. Like other kids, they didn't say this to me, right? But it was like, oh my god. That's the fucking... That's the kid that walks around fucking say... Well, I don't know if I should say like these quotes, but like... For a brief while, I was very political. And like, I grew up like in the countryside, right? And I felt like when I moved into more urban areas, I felt like I needed to like... This made no sense. I don't know how I justified this in my brain, right? But I felt like, at first, I felt like I needed to make it clear that I was country bumpkin, and I took like a lot of pride in it, right? And then as time went on, I became more and more desperate to fit in, and I started trying to fit in and adopting like ideas and stuff from more like urban areas. But I was so all over the place, man. I barely had a personality when I was a kid. I felt like anytime I had my own personality, I got punished for it, you know? I felt like anytime I had like my own interests or really anything, I felt like I got shit on for it. And I don't know. But I still like those things, right? And I would still end up like talking about them. And that's still like how I ended up like ostracized from like every circle, because I couldn't bring myself to fully conform. Like I was really like surface level conforming, I feel like, right? Like I was trying to do like the bare minimum to fit in with like various groups, but at the same time, like I was so I don't have like a filter, right? So I'd still be like on an instinct, right? I'd be like, yeah, like what's an example of this? Like I'd say stuff that just didn't fit in, right? Like oh yeah, well maybe we should listen to the adults. Or like actually I think that teacher's an asshole, and I think they're kind of weird, and I think they'd probably touch children if they had the option. I think it's, you know, like stuff like I just like the stupidest shit that like I could have kept to myself, you know, like kids are talking about how like, oh my god, I love this band teacher so much. Like there was this one band teacher that everybody loved, right? There was this one band teacher that everybody loved, and there was a woodshop teacher that everybody hated, and I loved the woodshop teacher. And I remember when in band class, everybody was like speaking so highly of his band teacher, and I'd be like, I think people only like the band teacher because he lets people get away with stuff, and his class is more conventionally fun. And I think it's kind of fucked up because I think the woodshop teacher is actually, by all means, a better teacher. And I think the only reason why people hate him is because he forces students to actually try their best. And yeah, that made a lot of people not like me. And it was just always shit like that. It was just shit always like that. And I did a lot of dumb shit too, like I'd snitch. I'd snitch on kids, right? Because I was taught, right? Like, not by my parents, right? Because my parents always told me not to snitch, right? But like schools and stuff, you know, they're like, oh, you should, if somebody's doing something bad, you need to let the teachers know, right? So I'd be like, I saw Jimothy smoking weed in the bathroom. I'd be like, I found like one of the things I did is I used to volunteer for like cleanup and stuff, right? I used to volunteer for like the cleanup and stuff. I never wanted to go home, right? I always wanted to like stay at school for as long as possible, even though school was fucking miserable. I remember volunteering for like cleanup duties and stuff, right? I'd find like cigarettes underneath like a kid's desk or whatever, and I'd be like, I found cigarettes. And just very stupid stuff that like would obviously point to me, right? Or like I remember one time like oh god, this was in social studies. And this one kid used to pick on me so much. This one kid. I'll never forget him. He was like shoving the desk into me. Like the way that we were seated. I don't remember what it was, but there was like something behind me, and he kept like pushing the desk into me, and it was like smashing into like my ribs. And I ended up getting up, and I went to go tell the teacher. And I was so stupid because like I said it like right in front of him. I was like, this kid is fucking crushing my goddamn rib cage with the fucking desk, okay? And they were like, well, stop provoking him. And I'm like, fucking anything! I'm an asshole, okay? Yeah, but like they're fucking physically assaulting me, okay? And I remember I ended up like starting to get like real mouthy with the other kid. I was like telling him off and shit, right? And I got thrown out of the class because I'm dumb, and I didn't realize that when you're like the squeaky wheel and shit like that, you know, when you're the one that's like drawing attention to this stuff, you're the one that's like disrupting the flow of things. You're the one that's like wasting the adults' time, you know, all that shit. So I got taken out of the fucking classroom. And funny enough, while the teacher was like scolding me for being so annoying, one of the other kids got pushed and he cut himself against the it's like this little ledge beneath the whiteboard where like the markers sit. He got cut against that, and he was sitting there like bleeding really bad. He was bleeding really bad, and he was trying to get the teacher's attention, and the teacher was like, no, not right now. And I was like, he's bleeding. And the teacher was like, no, he'll be fine. I'll get to it in a second. And like he was just sitting there like fucking scolding me, and then eventually he realized, and that kid had to get like 15 stitches. That kid like really badly fucking like sliced into himself. Like it was gnarly. It was a gnarly fucking wound. Ah! I hated that school. I hated that teacher. I hated all those people. And then I have so much beef against this one fucking person. If I could remember like his entire fucking name, I think I know his name, but I feel like it's off. I don't know. Maybe I don't remember his last name. But I remember my best friend, my only like real friend. She ended up years later. This was before I knew Stacy. She messaged me over Facebook. We were catching up, and she told me that she saw him at the airport again. This was like years later, and she was like, "Yeah, I kind of have a crush on him." And I was like, "You cannot! You cannot! I don't care how many years ago it was. That guy was a fucking asshole. That guy used to push me around, fucking shove the desk into me, fucking knock me over. He fucking tripped me. That guy was a piece of shit. Don't you fucking do it. If you value me as a friend, you won't fucking do it." But I didn't actually say all that. I just said, "Oh, I'm so happy for you." God, I hope that guy died of crack or something. I hope that guy fucking got addicted to drugs and lost everything, and fucking I hope he's still alive and he can't use his legs or something. Fuck that guy. Made my life a fucking living hell.
Everybody, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Low Effort Clips. That's right, Low Effort Clips, right here on YouTube.com. Yeah, and hit the notification bell. Yeah.